So this woman is trapped in a box, and she can barely breathe. And she starts banging on the walls of this box, but no one hears her because this box is in a shallow grave underneath the ground. She was just buried alive. Now, the guy who buried her, his name is Marcin. He's 19 and he lives in a small town in Poland. And one day he goes to the store and he sees this woman. Her name is Michelina. And Marcin thinks Michelina is so fine. So he finds some way to talk to her. He rizzes her up and they totally hit it off. So they start dating and they fall in love, and pretty soon they pack up and they move from Poland all the way to England to start their new life together. Marcin even proposes to Michelina with a diamond engagement ring, and that diamond engagement ring will become important later. So anyway, they end up moving in with Marcin's parents, and they get steady jobs. A few years later, Michelina gets pregnant, and they have a kid. And everything seems to be going well, and it looks like they're building a really good life together. Until, at some point, Marcin starts suddenly acting different. Like, his personality changes. Like, first he gets really into going to the gym and working out and working on his body. No big deal. Michelina doesn't think anything about it. Bro's just getting in shape. But then he starts going to the gym 5 times a week, and he starts using roids, and slowly his temperament starts to change. He becomes kind of an asshole, and he and Michelina start arguing a lot. And when they argue, Marcin starts having these crazy violent outbursts. Meanwhile, while he's at the gym working out, Marcin starts meeting other women, and he starts flirting with them. And in turn, he's looking at poor Michelina like she's suddenly boring, and he's simply not attracted to her anymore. He no longer thinks she is so fine. So naturally, pretty quickly, their relationship breaks down, and they start fighting all the time, and soon enough, they're barely even speaking to each other. And Marcin, at this point, he is done. And I guess Michelina is too. I mean, she can't put up with this anymore. So she tells Marcin she wants to take their son and move back to Poland. Their son is like 3 years old at this point. And Marcin, he absolutely wants this relationship to end. But there's a problem. He's worried she'll get full custody of their son, and she'll be living all the way in Poland while he is stuck in England living with his parents, and he'll never get to see his kid. So then Marcin comes up with a plan to get rid of Michelina and keep custody of their son. And one day he puts that plan into motion. He invites Michelina to go shopping with them. And Michelina's like, hell yeah. And she's probably excited because this is the first time Marcin's given her positive attention in a long time. And he's suddenly asking her to hang out. I mean, this is great news. Maybe they don't have to break up now. Maybe they can stay together. Maybe she doesn't have to move all the way back to Poland and she can stay in England and keep the family unit together for the sake of their son. Maybe he's changed his ways and he'll stop using roids and having violent outbursts. Maybe he has stopped looking at other women in the gym and he's gonna start looking at her again like he used to. Maybe. So she starts getting ready and she's like all in the bathroom doing her makeup and whatnot. Like, this is gonna be fun. He's being so nice. Maybe their relationship is improving. And she still wears her engagement ring because deep down, she's still hoping that maybe it'll work out between them. So anyway, she does her makeup and she comes out of the bathroom and Marcin is standing there in the hallway. And suddenly, he's not alone. He's got a friend with him. This guy, Patrick. And he's like, hey, Patrick's gonna tag along with us, cool? And of course it's not cool. Michelina is disappointed because what the hell, you're bringing a friend shopping with us? Now, here's where the story gets dark. All of a sudden, Marcin pulls something out from behind his back, a stun gun. And he says he's gonna show Michelina how it works. And then suddenly, bam, he zaps her on the neck with 300,000 volts. And boom, she falls to the floor. And while she's down, Marcin just keeps zapping her over and over again to make sure she doesn't get up. Then, Marcin and Patrick, they tape her legs and her wrists so she can't move, and they tape her mouth shut with packing tape. Then, they zap her one last time just as like a final fuck you. And then they put her in a big cardboard box and they seal up that box and they load it into the trunk of Patrick's car. and they drive way out, deep out into the woods where no one can see them. And they get the box out of the car, and they carry it up a hill, and then they throw it into a hole in the ground, a shallow grave that they had previously dug, because they had been planning this for a while. Then they start to bury that box with shovels they brought. Now, inside this box, Michelina, she is freaking out. She can hear the sound of dirt outside hitting the cardboard, and so she's suddenly aware that she's being buried alive. How in the hell is she gonna get out of this? And so Marcin and Patrick, they finish burying the box, and then they drag an 88-pound tree branch, and they set it over the top of the grave so that there's no way she can get out. She is stuck. And then they walk away, and they get in the car, and they leave, leaving Michelina there in the box underground to be slowly and painfully unalived. Here's the thing, though. Michelina is scared as fuck, but she is not trying to die today. She is going to try everything she can to get out of this. So she waits there in the box quietly until she's sure Marcin and Patrick are gone. Once she's sure, she starts looking for any way to escape. And that is when she remembers she's still wearing that diamond engagement ring he gave her. So she takes it off, and she uses the sharp edges of the diamond side of it, and she creates friction on the tape around her wrists. And bam, she ends up cutting the tape. And then she does the same thing and cuts the tape from around her legs. Then she starts slashing and cutting at the cardboard ceiling above her until she slashes a small hole in it. Then Michelina just starts punching it until she punches through it. And she continues just punching, and eventually she punches a hole big enough to get her head through. And she pushes herself up through the dirt as hard as she can until eventually her head comes out of the ground like she's a freaking zombie rising from the dead. And she wiggles herself out of the box, and she squeezes out from underneath the tree branch lying on top of the dirt mound, and she is out. She had been buried alive for nearly an hour, and she's covered in dirt, and she's all worn out, but she's alive. But now time has passed, and it's dark, and she's deep in the woods. She has no idea where in the hell she is. But then she hears music off in the distance, and it's not very loud, but she can definitely hear it. So she starts walking toward the sound, and it turns out it's coming from a nearby pub. Now eventually, before she can get to the pub, she reaches a road, and she flags down a car that's passing by, and she tells them what happened, so they end up calling the police. So police, they investigate, and they track down Patrick's house, and they go there, and Marcin and Patrick are there, and bam, they arrest Marcin. And bam, they arrest Patrick too. Now, I don't have mugshots, but here's what Marcin looks like in real life, and here's what Patrick looks like in real life. And so, they're both convicted of kidnapping, and Marcin is also found guilty of attempted murder, so Patrick is sentenced to 4 years in prison, while Marcin is sentenced to 20 years in prison. Good.